So where we last left off in the Boston Bruins GM series, we suffered a heartbreaking Game 7 overtime loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs, blowing a 4-2 third period lead, and then losing 5-4 in overtime. So we simulate up to the offseason. The Calgary Flames are your Stanley Cup champions. Dougie Hamilton wins a cup before we did. That is definitely a sore sight for Bruins fans. But here we go into the offseason, so I wanted to show you guys the trade value of all our players, kind of update you guys on the status of the roster, the status of some of our assets. You can see our top three guys: Bergeron, Burns, Matthews, and then Barrie, Bodker, Krejci, DeBrusk, Carlo, Pastrnak. Now, the only thing I will note is Brent Burns. He is an unrestricted free agent this coming offseason, so a big decision to make with him. He's 32 years old, looking for, I believe, a 4-year contract. We will see what we do with him. Take a look at Pastrnak a little bit here. But this is what the state of the roster is. Lots of young prospects still to come up, though. Jeremy Lauzon, Jake DeBrusk, Brandon Carlo, Jakob Saboril. Definitely some assets still. We only have one pick in the first 3 rounds, though. It is our own first-round pick. We will see if we make any moves to try and get back into the second and third round. But here's a quick look at the trade deadline. And the reason I wanted to highlight this is not a lot of help on defense here. Some forwards that kind of would have been intriguing, maybe a Henrik Sedin, but not really any top 4 D-men, I thought, on this trade block. So we're going to have to deal with that some other way. Of course, Burns is an unrestricted free agent, and Zdeno Chara has retired, so that leaves 2 holes in our top 4. Only Torrey Krug and Tyson Barrie will return from our top 4 D pairings last year. And David Krejci is a guy that, he could be on the out and out soon. He has got a big contract, and we've got a lot of depth down the middle. So the draft would have been one spot to look to move him, but I decided, because we were so unsure of what our D-Corps was going to look like, I wanted to hold on to him, see when we got to free agency, if the options weren't there, he might be the guy we flip for defenseman at some point. Just because we have Bergeron, of course, he's not going anywhere, Austin Matthews, the young stud, and Ryan Spooner, too, who in real life is looking more and more like a top 6 player, and in this game is looking more and more like a top 6 player. So we've got a lot of depth down the middle, and Krejci is one guy that we could be moving in the near future. We take Thomas Ness with our first-round pick, and then we get a trade offer here. Olsen, one of our young goaltenders who we signed last offseason for a third-round pick from Philadelphia. And I decided to do this because we had Subban and Herp still, who were both rated higher or with more trade value than Olsen. And I was really looking to take Lamb, the American center, who I almost thought about taking in the first round. He had top 9 potential, but he unfortunately was picked before our pick in the third round, so we had to settle for someone else. And then I'm going to kind of quickly breeze through the rest of our picks. I didn't really get any studs or anything here. A lot of guys with AHL potential. But the thing about this game, I did want to highlight this. Patrick Lane is probably going to go in the top 5 in the 2016 NHL draft in real life. Didn't even get picked in the 2015 draft in this game, or the 2016 draft in this game. We were able to get him in this draft, though, so we'll see if he turns into anything. I kind of doubt it, but anyway, so the thing about this game is the potentials do tend to fluctuate, and it actually is possible to get guys in the late rounds and have them be contributors to your NHL team in the future. So I didn't want to completely brush over those guys, but, if you really care about the names that we picked, you can go back and look at them. So this is the more important part of the offseason, though, the re-signing phase. So we've got a couple unrestricted free agents that, would be peeled off of our top 6 or our top 4. As I said, Brent Burns and Brad Marchand as well. He is an unrestricted free agent. We'll see what we do with him. First, I offered a couple entry-level contracts to Merkley and Burnside. Here's a look at our first-round pick, Ted Ness. Top 9 potential. We'll see if that goes up. But anyway, Brad Marchand, the first guy I wanted to evaluate. And he wasn't looking for too much, and just the impact that he's had on the real-life team this year, he's become such a big part of this organization. I kind of would feel wrong letting him go. So I decided to offer him the 4-year, $12.5 million contract or so. But Burns, I just looked at him, his role, it said top 4 D-men. If I bring him back, him and Barrie are our 2 best D-men, and they're right shots. And I just thought the fit wasn't really perfect, so I decided I was going to let him walk at least for now. We might come back to him when we get to free agency, but I wanted to at least get to July 1st and see what our options would be there before I committed to, 4 more years of Brent Burns. So offering up some more contracts, Johansson, I give a contract to Zach Trotman. Here's Colin Miller. He's going to be coming back on a 2-year, 2-way deal. Ryan Spooner now looking for 3. He was actually only looking for 2 years. I'm going to give him 3 at 2.75 per, and he hopefully will take that offer. Here's Peter Celeric? I can't pronounce names for the life of me. But Brian Ferlin, we're going to bring him back as well. Dalton Smith, he's got top 9 potential, and he's been listed as a 4th liner, so I think he could actually crack the bottom 6 next year. Pastrnak, 4 years. What is that? $10 million total. We'll see if he improves. That could be a bargain if he does turn into a top 6 player. And then Malcolm Subban, he was looking for 2 years and $2.8 million total. I decided I would just qualify him. I wasn't really quite sure what to do with him. But here we go. Marchand accepts our offer. That is a big one. He is coming back for 3 more seasons at least. And of course, unless we trade him, but we'll see about that. And then others as well: Brett Connolly, Ryan Spooner, Colin Miller, Zach Trotman, David Pasternak, Anthony Kamara, Brian Ferland, Dalton Smith, Josh Burnside, Zach Senishin, and a bunch of others I can't even keep up. So here we go. One more guy I was going to re-sign, Marcus Kruger. He was looking for about $1.5 million, but I lowered the term to 1 year, and his asking price went way down. I'm really looking just, for him to be a fourth-line center, and if I can get him at $900,000, that is a bargain for a guy like that. So here are all the guys we're going to let walk: Talbot, DeFazio, Kevin Miller, Zach Ronaldo, Brent Burns, Colin Breen, and Tyler Randall. Those are all guys that we could have brought back. Randall was the only RFA of the bunch, but we are letting those guys walk, and then Kruger does take his deal. So we get to free agency, and you're going to see that waiting on Brent Burns did pay off, because there is a much better option in the mix. Victor Hedman is an unrestricted free agent, not really looking for much more money than Brent Burns was. He's younger, but he is asking for more term. However, I was completely fine committing to him for 7 years. This honestly reminds me a little bit of bringing in Zdeno Chara, a guy who came over from Ottawa when the Bruins signed him. Of course, he was a little bit older than Hedman was, but Hedman, 91 overall, definitely a top-pairing D, a franchise defenseman, and I knew I wanted to go after him immediately, so I gave him a big 7-year offer worth more than $45 million total. I think that's actually maybe worth closer to $50 million than 45, but anyway, I can't quite do the math that quickly. So then on to the goaltender market here. I was looking at what a backup would have been, and the price level really wasn't that much cheaper than Subban, so I just decided I was going to go back to Subban. He's kind of overqualified to be a backup, but at the very least, I think it's just better. We're better off keeping him than giving Jonas Enroth 2 years and $2.4 million or something like that. So I'm checking the the trade block one more time just to see if it's been updated at all, and still really no top 4 D-men. I did see Henrik Lundqvist got added, but of course we don't really have a need for that. Joe Thornton as well got added, but we're not really looking for a top 6 forward. We've got plenty of depth up front. We're looking for guys on the back end. So because there wasn't really anyone on the trade block that I thought could be a suitable replacement for Zdeno Chara, I looked at the free agent market, and the only other really good top 4 D-men other than Burns and Hedman would have been Cody Franson. So I give him a 3-year, close to $15 million offer, but he rejects it. He ends up signing with Florida. Subban does take our deal. Then we also get Michael Spacek and Sergei Zaborski, a couple guys who went unsigned by their teams who had some good potential. I thought they would have been worth bringing in, only cost us entry-level contracts. And then we've still got one more guy, Hedman, and he does take our deal. So Victor Hedman is a Boston Bruin. That is very exciting news, Bruins fans. And you can see we're going to sign Jim Slater. He's got a 92 face-off rating. I wanted him purely for depth reasons. He's probably going to be a healthy scratch more often than not. And then because we didn't get Franson, we still have some defensemen to fill out. There's some defense roles to fill out. So Tim Erickson going to get a contract. David Rundblad as well. A couple guys who ideally would be bottom pairing Ds. I think we're going to move Morrow into the top 4 without getting Franson. So, that really is the big hole left on this team. We've got plenty of depth up front, as you're going to see. We're going to simulate to September, and then I'm going to show off what my lines are looking like heading in to opening night. But, a lot of depth up front, probably more than 6 top 6 forwards, I would say. Spooner, he's an 85 overall now. He's going to start on the 3rd line, but ideally I'd like to play him in a top 6 role at some point in the future. Griffith and Pasternak as well, 84 overall. So they're listed as third line players, but you got to think they're going to get bumps in their overall soon. So really, the hole on this team is on defense. We are missing one top 4D, and that's what Franzen would have been. He could have played with Krug. I would have liked the combination. But for now, we've got Joe Morrow playing in the top 4. He's definitely more suited to be a third-pairing D-man, so I think as we move forward into this season, especially as we get closer to the trade deadline, that is going to be the one area of need for this team. And it kind of was the same thing last year. I mean, we came into the year, I thought we were a defenseman short, and we ended up adding Brent Burns at the deadline. So we'll see if we make a similar move this year. I decided not to bring back Burns on top of Hedman. I thought that would have been too much money. We would have been using up too much cap space. And we don't have a ton of cap space entering the year, but we do have some guys in the bottom 6 that I feel like are expendable. Kevin Hayes makes $3.5 million, Jimmy Hayes makes $2.3. I think both of those guys could easily be moved if we needed the salary cap space to add a defenseman come trade deadline time. So anyway, that is going to do it for the offseason. The big move was adding Victor Hedman. We lose Brent Burns, we lose Zdeno Chara, but other than that, we are bringing the group back for season number 3. Hopefully it will end a little bit better than season number 2 did. Opening night is against Toronto, the team that knocked us out in the postseason last year, and that will be episode number 20. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you did enjoy, and I'm out. Peace.